Hello, wonderful people of the internet. Today is September 1st, so I thought I'd do a monthly wrap-up for August. So let's begin. The first book I read last month was The Shining by Stephen King. As I said in my last video, this is my favourite book of all time. The writing style, chef's kiss. The characters, chef's kiss. The story, chef's kiss. The horrors, chef's kiss. I could go on. It tells the story of Danny Torrance, who is only 5 years old, but in the words of old Mr. Halloran, he is a shiner, aglow with psychic voltage. When his father becomes caretaker at the Overlook Hotel, Danny's visions grow out of control. As winter closes in and blizzards cut them off, the hotel seems to develop a life of its own. It's meant to be empty. So who's the lady in room 217? And who are the masked guests going up and down in the elevator? And why do the hedges shaped like animals seem so alive? Somewhere, somehow, there is an evil force in the hotel, and that too is beginning to shine. This is a great book. I highly recommend it. Read it. The second book I read last month was also by Stephen King, and it's called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. And it tells the story of Red. There's a guy like Red in every state and federal prison in America. He's the guy who can get it for you. And new convict Andy DeFrenzy wants two things from Red: a small rock hammer for carving stones, and a giant poster of Rita Hayworth. So begins this mesmerising tale of unjust imprisonment, deep friendship, and offbeat escape. This is a really, really nice short book, and it's actually very uplifting. It has a strong message of hope and determination, so I highly recommend this book as well. The third book I feel a bit less positive about was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Book 3, The Library of Souls. Now, I originally read the Miss Peregrine series when I was 11, and I absolutely loved it. It was my favourite. Recently, the last book came out, and I didn't remember much of it, so I decided I'd reread the series. And I didn't enjoy it as much this time. In fact, I disliked it so much I had to stop on book 3. And I'll give a short summary just in case you're interested. It's about Jacob Portman, whose life is really unextraordinary, really ordinary, you could say, and until his grandfather dies. And his last words lead Jake a trail of breadcrumbs to follow, which leads him to the island of Cairnholm off the coast of Wales, where he goes to his grandfather's old children's home where he stayed in World War II, and finds that the wards and the headmistress there aren't as dead as they should be. They're not zombies. So, I suppose I recommend it. Do I? Yeah, I do. If you're interested, give it a try. But I didn't really enjoy this one. The fourth book I read this month, oh boy, Frankenstein. If you watched the last video, I gave quite a mini rant about how I didn't like this book, and I didn't finish this one either, which is a record for me. I've only ever not finished about 4 books in my lifetime, 2 at least being Library of Souls and Frankenstein. And the reason I didn't like this, and I feel guilty saying it, because this is meant to be an important work of fiction. It is, but I had high expectations going into it because of that. But I found the writing to be repetitive and a bit dull in places, and it dragged on, so I stopped reading it. And it's about Victor Frankenstein, who decides he is going to create the perfect body to give life to, and he creates this body by sewing dead bodies together. But when he finally gives it life, he hates it. It looks grotesque, so he flees from it. And what follows is just a tale of death and misery. Unfortunately, I didn't like this one, but I would recommend it, because this is a classic, and I am in the minority here. A lot of people like this book. So definitely give it a try if you're interested. The fifth book I read this month was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This book was chef's kiss amazing. This has got to be in my top 5 favourite books of all time. And it tells the story of 10 strangers who are invited to Soldier Island, an isolated rock off the Devon coast. Cut off from the mainland, with their generous host mysteriously absent, they are each accused of a terrible crime. Then one of the party dies suddenly, and they realise there may be a murderer in their midst. A murderer who might strike again and again. And all the time, copies of a macabre nursery rhyme hang in each room. A nursery rhyme with an omen of death for all 10 of them. Now, if that isn't a hook, I don't know what is. I highly, highly recommend this book. Whether you're an old hardened fan of the mystery genre or just getting into it. And this is a bit of a thriller as well. Definitely give this one a try. On a cold winter's night, preferably. The 6th and last book I read last month was The Murder on the Orient Express. Now, this is actually an ongoing read. I'm on page 32 because I started it late in August. And this one is about famous detective Hercule Poirot, who's going back to England because he's called back to a case that was considered closed but isn't. There's been a new development. And on his way back on the famous Orient Express, there is a murder. And he has to try and find the murderer out of a group of travellers on this train. I can't really give a review of it so far because I'm not even 10% in, I don't think. But I'd recommend it because, it's Agatha Christie. If it's anything like And Then There Were None, I'd say give it a try. And this is meant to be one of her most famous works. So I've got high expectations for this, and you can expect a review quite soon. I'm a slow reader, so not the next video anyway. And that is all for what I have read this month. And I'm just going to say here, oh, I tell a lie. I did actually read another book this month called, it's a short story. And it's called The Yellow Wallpaper. I don't know when it was written. I can't remember who it was written by. I'm rubbish at this. But it tells the story of a woman who has got some sort of nervous depression. It doesn't go too deep into it. And her husband, a physicist, is making her stay in the nursery on the upper floor where there is a hideous yellow wallpaper with a pattern that is utterly mind-boggling. And she starts to go just a little bit crazy. It's a great short story, and even better, it's only took me about 15 minutes to read, and as a slow reader, that's pretty good. You can find it online, probably on a PDF. Just search up The Yellow Wallpaper PDF, and you should find the website I read it on. I am warning you, it's not for the easily disturbed. It was a very disturbing book, and it gave you a lot to think about, because women, back when this book was written quite a while back, actually I'm not sure, I'm not going to comment on that, a prescription was actually to be locked in a room and isolate themselves if they were going through some sort of mental health issue, which was obviously awful. But I recommend that one too. That was actually recommended in a video by Murphy Napier, who was recommending Halloween books. So thank you, Mrs. Napier, for recommending that. And I recommend that to all the people watching this as well, but not for the faint of hearted. So that is the wrap up of August, the complete wrap up, and I'm going to talk about what I plan to read this month. So, Murder on the Orient Express, of course. This should take me around 5 days, so got quite a lot of time after that. Next, I will be reading The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Now, my mum bought the DVD for this, so I've got to read this quickly because she wants to watch it. I've got high hopes for this. I know that it's set in Nazi Germany. It's about a girl who steals books, and it's told from the point of view of death. So I'm looking forward to reading that. What else am I going to read this month? Oh, yes. I plan on reading, if I get through The Book Thief in time. It's quite a thick one, so no guarantee. I plan on reading Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. I've got high hopes for this, to say the least. And I've watched the film. I know, I broke the rule, book before movie, didn't do that. But I've got this now. And there's something in the movie that you can't get in the book that you can't get in the movie, and that's the King voice. So I'm excited to go through the experience of this story again with the Stephen King voice pervading it, telling it. Bleh. And the final book that I need to read this month, one moment, is another Agatha Christie book called Ordeal by Innocence. I actually got this one from the library. I just went down the high street with a few friends, and I found this in the library, and I thought, heck, I'll take it with me. So I got to read this one pretty quickly. I might read this one before Doctor Sleep and The Book Thief, just in case. I think I've got about 20 days left on this before I have to return it. So expect to review that in the not too distant future after Murder on the Orient Express. So that's me. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you next time on Sunday. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday. So, have a good one, y'all. Bye.